Coming up, our reporters have first-hand information of what's happening at the border.
And we have the latest information on the lane closures happening in preparation for the caravan's arrival.
Horrific wildfires continue to devastate California. We'll bring you the latest updates.
Stay tuned for your weather forecast, the Thanksgiving break. Newscene starts right now. Welcome to this edition of Newscene. I'm Celia Jimenez.
And I'm Kevin Burke. The migrant caravan is a serious issue at the border. Many want to apply for asylum in search of better opportunities. But their arrival in Tijuana came with surprises. Michelle Mellon has the story.
On Monday afternoon, the first caravan arrived at Playas de Tijuana with the Honduran LGBT community. We had the opportunity to interview Jorge Antonio, a migrant who is part of this community, where he tells us the neighbors are not very happy with their arrival.
When we get here, the neighbors got really upset, but we come in peace and just looking forward to cross the border and find better opportunities.
The next day, the second caravan arrived. Later on the distance, we noticed that some of the migrants are climbing the wall, shouting profanities at Border Patrol and insisting they also deserve help. That same night, Mexican police moved them to shelters, but many decide to sleep on the beach because they do not want to be separated from their families. On Wednesday, the third caravan arrived with a total of 398 migrants, while the U.S. Army prepares security. But that does not stop them. 2 migrants verbally assault American police and disobey rules by removing the spikes from the wall. We interview a second migrant who tells us they are waiting for even more caravans.
We are not all here yet. We're waiting for more caravans. We're just 20% right now. We're expecting like 10 more caravans next week.
At night, the community of Playas protests, complaining about the migrants' behavior, drug abuse, garbage, and lack of action. Reporting from Newscene, Michelle Mellon.
Our most recent information is that there are over 6,000 migrants expected next week in Tijuana. It's reported that 4 lanes will be closed at the San Ysidro border. We'll keep you updated with any developments. Some lanes along the U.S.-Mexico border are shutting down ahead of the arrival of the migrant caravan. Customs and Border Protection started closing the San Ysidro border entrance Tuesday morning. A nearby crossing, the Otay Mesa port of entry, will see at least 1 northbound lane closed. Combined, the 2 crossings have 29 lanes. The federal agency says the closures will allow authorities to prepare for what it calls the potential safety and security risk of the caravan. The closures are expected to remain in place until the first wave of caravan members arrive.
President Donald Trump is reportedly about to fire Homeland Security Kristen Nielsen. According to reports, Trump is frustrated with Nielsen's performance as GSS. He said she has not been able to address the immigration crisis. If replaced, she will be the 4th person in the Homeland Security position in less than 2 years. Nielsen is known for signing off the zero-tolerance policy, which separated thousands of families at the U.S.-Mexico border earlier this year.
It's been 1 week since the devastating Camp Fire erupted in Paradise, California. The aftermath from the state's deadliest wildfire leaves many feeling haunted. One resident shared that he thought he would be able to return to his home once the fire was out. However, he was told he would have to wait 4 months. The scene is filled with ashes as a search team of nearly 500 people and a dozen dogs continue looking for survivors. In addition to the destruction, an outbreak of the flu has taken a toll on those in evacuation shelters.
Firefighters are still working to contain the Wolseley fire in Ventura, LA County. Authorities confirmed the fire is currently 69% contained after burning nearly 100,000 acres in the span of a week. Residents in parts of the county, including Thousand Oaks, Calabasas, and Malibu, returned to their neighborhoods to find them totally wiped out by the fire. Over 600 buildings were destroyed, and the surrounding areas will be reportedly need to be completely rebuilt.
In the meantime, authorities are investigating the cause of the nearby Sierra fire in Rialto. The Rialto Fire Department extinguished the fire late Thursday night after it burned nearly 150 acres, fueled by Santa Ana winds. Families were forced to evacuate their homes without warning after the fire suddenly erupted Tuesday night. Fire crews were already overwhelmed with the two other massive fires just 500 miles apart. Overall, over 600 people are reported missing as a result of the fires.
This is a dynamic list, right? Some days there might be more people, some days there might be less people. Ultimately, when we're through this process, my sincere hope is that we have accounted for everybody.
Officials believe many of the names on the list were people who fled the fires and didn't realize they were reported missing.
Almost 300 animals evacuees found refuge from the fires in the Camarillo shelter. The shelter asked for donations of blankets, bath towels, Ziploc bags, and liquid laundry detergent to help care for the newly rescued pets. Shelters in general are currently overpopulated and are having a hard time dealing with the influx of pets they have to care for. LA County has opened 6 additional animal shelters to help host all the animals that are being evacuated and rescued from the flames.
Disney World bans a Trump supporter for the second time. A man returned to Disney World after he was banned for violating park rules by displaying a Trump banner in the Magic Kingdom back in September. The rules prohibit the use of any signs, flags, or banners. But the man tells WFTV that while he wanted to abide by the rules, he also wanted to see if the park's response was just from unfolding a banner or the message on it. A Disney spokesperson says it's not about the content or a political issue, it's a result of repeatedly not following park rules.
And coming up, a clear victory for the First Amendment and journalists everywhere.
And an NFL drama has finally come to an end. Stay tuned for more on sports after the break.
The Trump administration has been ordered to reinstate Jim Acosta's press pass this morning by a federal judge. CNN has vocalized that revoking of Acosta's press pass is a violation of both the First and the Fifth Amendment.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Theodore Boutros. I represent CNN and Mr. Acosta. We're extremely pleased with the ruling today. This is a great day for the First Amendment and journalism. We're very excited to have Mr. Acosta be able to go back and get his hard pass and report the news about the White House. I'll turn it over to Jim.
Okay. Everybody, thanks for coming. I just want to say something very briefly, and that is I want to thank all of my colleagues in the press who supported us this week. And I want to thank the judge for the decision he made today. And let's go back to work. Thank you.
As of Friday morning, it is expected that Acosta will be back in the White House and reporting by this afternoon.
Joaquin El Chapo Guzman has pleaded not guilty in his high-profile trial to international drug trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. The monumental trial began on Wednesday when 2 jurors already being replaced due to anxiety and fear for their safety. In the opening statements, El Chapo's accountant, Jesus Zambada, says he was a cartel member from 1987 until his capture in 2008 and handled all the bribes for high-ranking Mexican officials under El Chapo's orders. Zambada admitted that every month, Mexican officials received a total of $300,000, and that continued for over a decade. The trial is expected to last 4 months to fully dissect and evaluate El Chapo's cartel and their operations.
Michael Avenatti, who came to be known after he sued President Trump on behalf of adult film star, was arrested in LA on suspicion of domestic violence. The LA Police Department said he was booked for a felony DV with a $50,000 bond. A police spokesperson told the Associated Press that the victim, which is his wife, has visible injuries but declined to give further details pending an investigation. Avenatti claims he's innocent and he has never been an abusive person. His first wife has come to his defense on social media, calling him, quote, a loving father, end quote. Avenatti has this to say about the allegations.
I have never struck a woman. I never will strike a woman. I have been an advocate for women's rights my entire career, and I'm going to continue to be an advocate. I am not going to be intimidated from stopping what I am doing.
10 days after the midterm elections, Florida is still counting votes. The Sunshine State had until Thursday to finish the automatic machine recount, following close margins in the governor's race. The state has now issued a hand recount for about 10,000 ballots that were not able to be counted through machines. Officials now have until Sunday afternoon to finish the recount for key races in the state. If you thought the historic sailing ship downtown just sits idle, you're in for a treat this weekend. Kenyatta Rigmaiden takes us to the waterfront.
The oldest actively sailing tall ship left in the world is setting sail this weekend. San Diego's very own Star of India has been sitting dockside for the last 5 years, undergoing repairs to her deck and foremast. On Saturday and Sunday, she finally gets a chance to spread her wings. The last time the Star set sail was in November of 2013. After that came years of refit thanks to the Maritime Museum staff and volunteers. This year she turns 155 years old, and the crew still maintains and sails the ship with tools and techniques from a century ago.
This ship, really, it's the pinnacle of sailing technology. It was one of the first 100 iron-hulled ships ever built, and it was one of the last square riggers that was in operation commercially.
The museum's maintenance and sail crew has been training for over 2 months to ensure the ship and her crew are ready to set sail. Even the ship's 4,000-pound anchor needs to be checked by dropping it to the harbor floor and raising it up by human power.
Being able to actually get on it and sail it the way it was, there's no engine involved. We're going to be out there sailing it the same way they did 155 years ago.
Several of the museum's other ships are heading out to sea as well, including our official state tall ship, Californian, and the Spanish galleon replica, San Salvador. For Newscene, this is Kenyatta Rigmaiden.
The Star of India, which is a National Historic Landmark, gets underway for 2 all-day sailing outings this Saturday and Sunday at 9 o'clock.
And for the biggest highlights of Thursday night football, here's Juan Gomez.
Thank you, guys. To start off, as always, we will kick off with Thursday night football. The Seahawks hosted the Green Bay Packers, a rematch of the NFL Championship in 2014. The Packers late in the first quarter with the ball. Aaron Rodgers runs to the sideline to find his fourth-string tight end, Tanyan, to the end zone. We see this play a lot from the talented QB. But this match is always crazy and never disappoints. Russell Wilson would pass to the edge of the end zone for the TD to Doug Baldwin. What a beautiful pass. But the beauty of the play is the celebration that you're about to see. Talk about surfers. At the end of the game, Seahawks will edge the Packers to win 27-24. Both teams are still in the hunt of a playoff spot. And bad news for the NFL fans in Mexico, as the game between the Kansas City Chiefs versus the LA Rams that was scheduled to be played in the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City has been moved to LA. Mexican fans were thrilled to probably have the best game of the season, as both teams have only lost 1 game this season. But due to the poor field conditions, the NFL decided to move the game back to LA to protect the integrity of the players. Fans who bought tickets will have a full refund, but many fans are upset due to the poor management of the field from the organizers, because the previous week the stadium held a concert, and well, the images speak for themselves. What a shame it is. And the most dramatic story in the NFL has finally come to an end. Running back Le'Veon Bell has failed to report for the Steelers at the deadline, and he's officially ineligible to play for the Steelers or any team this year. Steelers players react to Bell being a no-show this year with statements thanking him for all the cleats he left for them and bashing their name tag off his locker. It's safe to say that he's not a popular guy in that locker room. Yet the Steelers are doing fine with James Conner, who racks 10 rushing TDs and over 700 rushing yards. So Steelers fans don't expect seeing Le'Veon in black and yellow next season. And now moving on, the Lakers hosted the Trailblazers as what it was a roller coaster game for the Lakers. LeBron James and company looking for his fourth consecutive win. Rajon Rondo had to exit the game early due to a hand injury that will keep him at least 1 month out of the court. Big hit for LA. But LeBron James will take on the Lakers to win the game 126-117 and will hit another milestone as he passes Wilt Chamberlain as the 5th-time All-Scorer in NBA. The King, as always, doing Royal Hall of Fame things. And the San Diego City College Knights started the season 2 weeks ago. The team did pretty good during the Knights Invitational, winning both games and getting the tournament's title. Last week they went to full tournament where they won the first game but lost the last 2. The team is 3-2 so far. According to the coach Mitch Charlens, the team needs to work on their defense. The Knights will be attending another tournament during the Thanksgiving break at Palomar College. And guys, with that we're gonna wrap up sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Juan. This week saw the death of a comic book and film legend. More on his life and legacy in entertainment.
She is 6 years old, and she is my very best friend. I couldn't live alone without her. I spend a lot of time in my backyard. I feed the birds and the bees. I love my flowers. The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. I love them. They're my savior. And I look forward to the volunteers because they've all become my friends. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Student journalists participated once again in an intense one-day workshop called Pro for a Day at Southwestern City College. Let's take a look. What is it about?
Pro for a Day is a workshop the San Diego Association of Black Journalists put together every year. Jerry McCormick, tell us why they do it.
Pro for a Day is SDABJ's way of giving back to journalism students because we want to make sure that we educate the next generation of journalists.
During the event, students learn more about news writing and talk with professional journalists. They are motivated to deliver news in a shorter time frame, just like it happens in the real world.
What I like about Pro for the Day is that we got practical applications. You know, we're in classes 90% of the time, but a lot of those don't have hands-on experience.
Luis Gomez says going to this type of workshops is viable and adds why students should sign up for Pro for a Day.
This is the kind of stuff that people pay thousands of dollars to learn, and you're getting it for free.
There is also a mock-up conference where students have to produce a story.
It was also a lot of fun. The fake scenario with the fake press conference, it was very fun. It resembled the real thing.
At the end of the day, students turn in an article, video, photos, or their posts in social media. They share their work with their peers and get feedback from their mentors.
If you want to check out the work of the students produce or are thinking about signing up for next year, you can find out more information at proforaday.wordpress.com.
Students and researchers came together at City College as well as 2 universities in Tijuana for the 7th Binational Conference this week. They talk about issues that are faced on both sides of the border, such as cross-border students, immigration, lack of water, and more. Students learn about the struggles people suffer to cross the border as well as what happens when non-citizens get deported. The conference also faced some adversity after one of the panelists, Leon Fierro, was detained by U.S. Customs while crossing the border. Fierro is a member of Mexicali Resiste, a group which is trying to protect the water supply. Customs revoked his visa and he couldn't attend the conference, but he shares his experience with students over the phone and via social media.
And it's looking like a magical weekend in the box office. Our very own Shonda Walker has morning entertainment.
There's been a lot going on in entertainment.
Oh my God.
Sadly, fans are mourning Marvel comic book publisher Stan Lee. The 95-year-old passed away of pneumonia on Monday. Lee was a writer, an editor, and a publisher of many iconic Marvel characters such as Spider-Man, X-Men, The Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man, to name a few. Even though he did not draw the characters he created, the superhero stories, Lee claims Spider-Man was his favorite creation. He even did a cameo in the film.
With exciting movies, J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter spin-off, The Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald, is set to reach all U.S. theaters on November 18th.
The moment has come to take our rightful place in the world where we wizards were free.
Johnny Depp plays Dark Wizard Gellert Grindelwald, and Jude Law is young Albus Dumbledore. Disney is set to release Dumbo in March of 2019. The live-action film will retell the story of the 1941 classic.
We're all family here, no matter how small.
Did you just talk?
Whoa. Did you just understand me?
Oh my God! You can understand me! Stop! I've been so lonely!
Ryan Reynolds is the voice of Pikachu. Time Warner released its trailer of Pokemon Pikachu. Thousands of viewers tuned in to watch.
You're adorable. They can't understand me, kid.
Can no one else hear him? Us together, and that magic is called hope. Yeah. So tell us what we want to know.
It's coming to theaters in May. That's all for entertainment. Back to you at the desk.
And right after the break, we'll bring you the latest weekly forecast.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
And the Star of India is setting sail this weekend. How is the weather going on for the sailors, Quiñara?
Well, tomorrow, right now we're getting waves of only 2 to 3 feet. Let's look at the surf. And, well, right now the temperature in the water is only about 64 degrees, but that's not too cold in case somebody falls in, but hopefully nobody will fall into the water. The only thing I'd be concerned about is that they get home early. Nowadays, the sun is setting pretty early. We have sunset at 4:47 p.m., so that's pretty early. Now let's move on to the local weather. We're going to see we have some really nice temperatures along the coast here in San Diego. We're looking at upper 60s, and it's actually getting a little bit warmer as we move throughout the day. Inland, we're looking at upper 60s. Again, that's moving up as well. Let's look at the mountains. They're cooling down this time of year. It gets kind of cool in the mountains. Borrego Springs, 73 degrees out there in the desert. It's pretty nice. Great time to go out in the desert. That sure does beat those 100+ temps that we have in the summertime. So let's talk about how it's getting dark earlier. That allows it to cool down a lot more. So we're going to have some colder overnights. Look at this 8-day forecast. We can see on the coast we're cooling down to about 55 degrees, but inland they're going to be in the mid-40s overnight. And that's because they don't have the insulation of the water that we have. So we're really blessed to be on the coast. And so we have a high in the low 70s, and that's going to last until about Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have a low pressure system moving in. So Wednesday, we're going to have a little bit of clouds, more clouds moving in Thursday, and we have a slight chance of precipitation, a little bit of rain, maybe early in the morning. We're talking about 3 in the morning, folks. Nothing to be alarmed about. Hey, Thanksgiving is going to be really nice. Turkey Day, or whatever you want to eat with your family. That's the main thing about Thanksgiving. I love the day, and we're going to have great weather to go with it. High 60s. So everyone taking trips, traveling throughout the country is going to have a great time. It might be a little bit cold if you go to the northern part of the country. Now, if we look at this map, you can see that we have some colder temps up in the northern part. We have 30s in Bismarck, Minneapolis, Detroit 34. They are having a little bit of snow. And if we look at the northeast, and we're talking about north of Boston, there are some weather warnings and winter storm advisories out for heavy snow. It's pretty cold up there and things are getting a little bad up there. That's way up north. As we go down south, we see that there's high pressure dominating from about DC down to Miami. Look at this whole area of the Midwest, and the green area is the clear skies. High pressure there as well. Temperatures from the mid-50s up to the mid-60s. So we're going to have pretty nice weather. And, you know, the Northwest, they're a little bit colder. Salt Lake City has a little bit of rain, 45 degrees coming in. But that about wraps it up for the weather. And have a great Thanksgiving. Back to you folks at the desk.
Well, thank you for that, Kenyatta. A new version of Monopoly has come out specifically for millennials. Millennial Monopoly brings a whole new spin on the classic board game. Instead of buying property in the game, you buy experiences because, as the game says, millennials can't afford property anyway. Some of these experiences include trying new vegan bistros and couch surfing. Deciding who goes first in the game is different as well. Whoever has the most student loan debt plays first. Whoever has the most experiences by the end of the game wins.
And that's all the time we have for this week of edition of Newscene. Tune in, but not for next week because we have a break. And we'll have you after that week, national, international, and local news. I'm Celia Jimenez.
And I'm Kevin Burke. Good night.